And we're back.
Yeah.
We're back a week later, but not really. We're recording.
Not really, no.
Welcome to Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal discussion about Star Trek, and we're focused on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Today's episode. What are you doing?
I'm looking for Picard.
Where are you? Like, it sounds like you're in the vaults of the TARDIS. Like you're under the.
I am in the vaults of the TARDIS. Yes, that's where Picard is. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, but it's like there's this crunching sound. Crunch.
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 Well, there's a lot of crunching to get to Picard. Go ahead, it's all right.
So today's episode is Time Squared, a really weird and excellent episode. Yes, I will give the summary since you're crunching away.
Yeah.
Just he's in the vortex.
He's somewhere here. I know it. I just have to get to him. I have Locutus.
Yeah, just pull out Locutus.
No, but that's not the right Picard. Oh, wait, here he is.
Oh, finally. You have a singular wit, Doctor.
All right.
I've been dying to say that one. You have a singular wit.
Oh, wit sucked it. Thank you.
All right. So in this episode, the crew of the Enterprise are humming along, and they find on their long-range sensors or short-range sensors a shuttlecraft, and Commander Riker is a little puzzled. He's like, but where's the mothership? And I thought that was interesting that they refer to shuttlecrafts, the starships as the mothership. Wow, this is terribly distracting, Doctor. Oh, is that the Elbaz?
No, this is
Shuttlecraft 5? Oh, the Goddard. Okay. All right. Anyways, so they beam, they tractor beam the shuttle on board because it's just drifting, and to everyone's astonishment, inside the shuttlecraft is a very creepy-looking, almost dead-looking corpse-like Captain Picard, and there he is. Hello. You got to say something. It won't.
Hello. Here is Picard saying hello.
Hello. Number one.
Sorry. Go ahead.
We're having a lot of technical issues on today's episode of Starfleet Boy. So Picard meets his doppelganger and is completely horrified. And after some examination, it's discovered that it's actually him. It's not a doppelganger. It's not a twin. It's not a trick. It's not a clone. It's not an android. They ask the 20 questions, and let me see here.
Here is Picard in the shuttlecraft. Ooh. Go ahead.
It's very cool.
Thank
very
you.
Cool. Anyways, Geordi and Data try to revive the shuttlecraft as Dr. Pulaski takes I jumped ahead there, but doppelganger Picard into sickbay to examine him. And it is, let me see, say something.
Oh, this is the other Picard, because we have to have two Picards.
That's a much better Picard face.
Well, this is the real Picard, and this is the... well, no, they're both the real Picard.
Right.
But this is... See, two Picards.
Yeah, but look, see, the one on the right looks just more like Picard.
Well, since it's a larger scale, you have more room to make the face look like the real person. It's a different scale.
Oh, I see. Very good.
But I'm distracting you from your wonderful summary.
So, anyways, Picard, Geordi and Data are able to revive the shuttlecraft, and they discover that it is in fact from 6 hours into the future. And so the Captain Picard that's in sickbay is also from 6 hours in the future. Anyways, attempts to revive him are unsuccessful. The crew is now faced with the challenge of trying to figure out what the heck happens, because the logs on the shuttlecraft show, Picard gets on the shuttlecraft. Riker even says goodbye. The shuttlecraft goes into the vortex that they're about to encounter, and the Enterprise is destroyed, and Captain Picard is flung back in time into this 6 hours into the past. And so they're afraid that every choice they make is the wrong choice to prevent this terrifying and horrible future from happening. And that's just, that's it in a nutshell. They are freaking out. Everyone's freaking out. They finally discover the vortex, and in an attempt to do something different, Captain Picard actually decides that leaving the Enterprise is not the correct choice. He kills his future self, which is also horrifying.
Cool.
He kills his future self and orders the Enterprise to go through the vortex, thus ending the time loop and having the crew survive. Meanwhile, it's also discovered that there is an entity of some kind, a sentience of some kind that's inside the vortex or coming through the vortex, and it also somehow tries to attack both Picards. It's very strange. It's very focused on Picard. It thinks he's the brains of the Enterprise, and that's a mystery that we don't solve. At the end of the episode, the crew actually don't understand what happens fully, and they're all just very confused by the whole thing.
What's
right. That crazy clipping? Oh, there we go. Oh, you just froze, Doctor. Ooh. The doctor is gone. I'm solo. No. We're going to call the doctor back because this is a live show, and that's fine. Let's go ahead and do that. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise on its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. Da 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 da. I'm getting a message here. Looks like, but it's not from the doctor. It is a funny message, though. Okay. Let's try calling the doctor on the phone. I bet we're going to have him restart his computer. And this is, oh, there he is. Doctor, you're back.
Yes.
What happened? That was me calling you, by the way.
The vortex. I got sucked into the vortex, and there was another me there. I was on this shuttlecraft.
Are you did you have to restart all the things?
Yeah,
Wait, are you doing this on purpose? Wow.
I'm from 5 minutes into the future.
All right.
No, that totally happened randomly. I'm just
That's
trying
crazy.
to make up for it.
So you had to restart your computer?
No,
Oh.
I just had to restart the USB port that the camera's in. Just goes wibbly wobbly every once in a while.
Okay, so everything's normal. It's still recording all the things, right?
I had to start a new recording.
Oh, okay. So let's just, audience, this is a little preview into what we do. Just do a quick little clap. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Now I know what to do.
Okay.
So just to, since we gave the audience a little glimpse into what we're doing here, we do a awesome, thanks to Google, we do a video broadcast where it switches dynamically. You can see Humbert, the doctor, and Sohail, myself, as we're speaking. And we also offer an audio supplement available on iTunes through a podcast for those of you who don't want to sit and watch our mugs for whatever length of time we talk. Our shows are anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours. What was Star Trek 3 was like 2 hours.
3 hours, 29 minutes, 15
no,
seconds.
it wasn't that long. Was it? Star Trek 3 was 2 hours.
It was longer than the movie itself.
We do try to be brief. So let's talk about the eggs.
The what?
The scene in the beginning where Riker is making breakfast for everyone.
The eggs, right? Yeah, that was fun.
That was a fun. I thought that
was fun. Yeah.
This season, I've noticed we're getting a lot more of these glimpses into the private lives of the crew, if you will, and
that's because of the writer's strike.
Oh, so
I think they just made that up just to fill. There's a lot of time fillers in this season because of the writer's strike, I think.
But it's great because it's kind of, it's exposition. It's like, well, I mean, maybe not necessary. I mean, like nothing about the Owana eggs, which I think should have been Katarian eggs, by the way, I think, just to, but I guess Katarian eggs weren't invented yet. But the Owan eggs.
Singular wish.
What Data's reaction in that scene is very interesting. I mean, obviously I totally predicted that Worf was going to love them if everyone else hated them, but Data was just like very, like he was just kind of like, oh, this is really weird. Like he was kind of weirded out by the whole experience of having breakfast with his crew members.
Well, I think it was just the act of Riker making the food, and remember, Riker's from Alaska, so it seems to indicate that Alaska is still a bit rugged, and it's easy to still enjoy the more rugged aspects of living, such as making eggs.
Yeah, I thought some interesting things that came up in this episode. One, we learn, and funny enough, isn't the next episode the Icarus Factor? Don't we meet Riker's dad? I think so.
Oh, do we? Oh, okay. I like that episode, actually.
Yeah, I think we meet Riker's dad in the next episode. So there was a nice little allusion,
foreshadowing there, yeah,
to him, where it was, he mentions that he grew up with his dad because I guess his mom died when he was young. Apparently he did the cooking and the cleaning. But what I found strange was that Worf says, and there's a couple of things that were really strange. One, Dr. Pulaski says something to the effect of, this is nice that we're all gathering here for a little social moment, having breakfast together, something that we don't do in the 24th century. And what I found strange about that in particular is like, we don't ever say, like when I gather with my friends and do something, I never say, oh, this is something we don't do in the 21st century. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was like a little weird. It was out of...
That's true. That's true.
So well, I also thought it was weird that people don't do that. I think they do. I mean, retcon, like, not even retcon, Kirk and the crew gather, they have wine together or like hang out together. I'm sure they have meals together. On the Enterprise, the original series, there's the mess hall where everyone, gathers to eat together.
Oh, that's the 23rd century you're talking about.
Oh, right.
So maybe Pulaski is saying that from the 23rd to the 24th, we lost that. Maybe.
Well, it's possible. The other thing that's weird is Worf says that, he says, I understand, it is a little odd that you're cooking. I understand that in human families, it's usually the female that takes up the task of cooking and cleaning. And I thought that was odd too, because Gene
that's not right.
Yeah, Gene Roddenberry portrays the society as like being so progressive and advanced, and yet these roles still exist. And I don't think that was a very accurate thing. So a few critiques on that opening scene, but overall it was a little sweet. What did you think?
I think actually now that you point all those things out, I'm wondering if they were using perhaps a script from the original Star Trek II series, which probably weren't very well edited through, and because Pulaski is saying something that McCoy would say, and
Right.
you know, I don't know. I can perfectly imagine Spock saying something that Worf said, and maybe Kirk was supposed to be Riker. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
well, yeah, Kirk would definitely. You're absolutely right. That's a great point.
so I'm not. It's true. It does seem like some of the dialogue in that scene was a bit stilted and was sort of calling attention to itself. But then again, as I said, you know, this was the shortened season because of the writer's strike, and maybe they just, you know, they didn't really have. I mean, you know, unless the actors were going to change it, nobody was going to change it. So they just, you know, rehearsed it and read it and performed it as is.
And in 89, 90, I think that it was a commentary on the situation, but I didn't see how it like actually how they were contradicting it by saying like things are actually different. You know, it seemed like the one time where things in the future are not as great as as they should, because oftentimes they'll reference like how things are better in the future, and this time it just didn't feel that way. So yeah, I thought that was weird. Anyways, we go immediately from that to Captain Picard requesting Commander Riker's presence on the bridge. And you know, as we said in the summary, that's when they encounter the Elbaz. And I was saying that like it is weird that they refer to a lonely shuttlecraft as being away from its mothership.
Yeah, I thought that was, again, that might be a result of the fact that the script just wasn't really thoroughly script edited, you know.
So so you're saying that just I should have asked you this just a few seconds ago, but you're saying that this was a rehash script from Star Trek Phase 2 that never got made.
That's my opinion. I don't know.
Oh,
I
you don't
haven't
know.
consulted.
Okay.
I haven't consulted the text yet.
But that's what
the Bible up here.
But that's what it smells like. It's a
yeah. I mean, we started the season with one.
That's right.
We started the season with it was supposed to be Lieutenant Ilea, who is going to have that baby. And it was her or Sulu, one of the two. I'm not sure.
Sulu I think it was Sulu. I remember you saying something about Sulu having a baby. Yeah. That would have been interesting.
So this may have been one of those as well.
Captain, it's my child, and I'm going to keep it no matter what you say. Captain, don't preach. I was just sorry.
God. Oh, that was bad.
I know.
I thought this episode had great atmosphere, which is in great contrast to the episode that we just reviewed,
the Royale.
The Royale. And amazing credit to Patrick Stewart and his miming. I mean, his little. You know, that was just so unsettling to me.
It was unsettling.
So weird.
It was so bizarre and weird, and like the way the makeup on future Picard was like kind of like these like bruises.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I totally noticed that in this wonderful HD.
The color, the pallor of his
yeah.
skin was different. It was just really bizarre. It was cool. It was something out of David Lynch, really.
Yeah, there was. By the way, Twin Peaks is coming back, and I don't know if you know this, but I live in Washington State in Seattle. I mean, I know that you know this.
I know.
Twin Peaks is set here. It's set here.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Kyle MacLachlan Damn Fine Cup of Coffee? The Omaze, you know, Omaze, the charity thing that some.
Oh yes.
You can win a damn fine cup of coffee
with
Kyle MacLachlan at the film festival that David Lynch is doing. I think it's in Los Angeles, so it's pretty exciting.
It is.
But going back to the episode, so then. Yeah, the scene where Picard is summoned to Cargo Bay 2 or whatever it was, and he sees himself for the first time is such a great performance. I mean, he's just like, he's just like, what is this? Like, is this? He comes in smiling at first, like thinking, yeah, this is gonna be like a cool, fun thing, like whatever. And then all of a
Oh,
sudden,
another shuttlecraft lost in the galaxy. What fun! What
yeah,
fun things will we find in
well,
here?
he's a happy captain, and then all of a sudden, it's like you see yourself, and like I think his reaction is so appropriate and so well acted, and he's just freaked out. You could tell he really just doesn't know what to do. It's just like a really horrifying thing.
Yeah, and everybody is really confused, and I like the elements of the script where we slowly come to realize that this Picard and this shuttlecraft are from the future. And it's interesting because we have, obviously we've encountered other episodes where people are from the future or from the past or whatever, but the idea that if you're from the future, you're somehow out of phase until you're synced back with the time that you were from. I mean, that's a very it's almost a Twilight Zone like way of looking at time travel. We take for granted now with stuff like Back to the Future and Doctor Who. Time travel is who cares. It doesn't really have any physical effects on you, but here we actually see physical metabolic effects on the person, and I thought they were fascinating. Little details, the fact that the shuttlecraft, what was it that the power
it was also out of phase, and in
was
fact,
out of phase.
You had to do the opposite. You had to give it like a negative charge instead of a positive charge in order to get it going. And yeah, that was really cool. I thought it was really interesting. Also, the next scene, after they retrieve the log and there's a conference about it, and everyone's kind of really confused. They're watching this this account of the future. They're like seeing it, and they're like, why the fuck would you leave the Enterprise? Like, and Captain Picard just like, yeah, why why would I don't know, it's really weird. And to see it unfold is really extraordinary. To see the reason why it happens is awesome. And I thought what you just said about how the mystery, the out of phase Picard, and like how he can't be himself as he gets closer to the time of, he starts to become more and more himself, is a great device that they came up with to kind of keep us in the dark as to the solution in the episode. Because had he awoken earlier, it would have been a whole different episode. Like it would have been weird logistically too, because it's like you'd had two Picards from the two talking Picards from the beginning. Counselor Troy was great in this episode because she confirms that it is in fact him.
Yes, that's true. She actually serves a vital role in this, because she is clearly able to determine that they are both indeed Picard. And
where's the other one in?
Oh, the other one is I don't know.
I thought it was also interesting as they got to the vortex itself, and Picard kind of, realizes that as he's being attacked by this entity, and he, determines that the focus is on him, and he realizes that, he says to Riker in that one scene, we may be on a road that has no turns.
Yeah.
It looks like everything's kind of forcing them into the direction of where he has to get on a shuttlecraft and leave the ship. Also, what did Riker say that was really bizarre line about, like, when Picard's being attacked by this entity? He says something like a rag doll in the mouth of a dog.
That's an old Alaska saying.
I know, it must be like a rag doll in the mouth of a dog.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing.
They say that a lot in Alaska.
Well, I mean,
that may have been a McCoy line.
A McCoy line, yeah. It actually sounds more like a McCoy line. Your theory's holding up. I'm gonna have to say, I think I agree. I agree with you on this one. if anyone knows what actually happened, and
Well, the book may say.
yeah. Anyways, so that happens, and then he gets to sick bay, and for some reason, instinctually, Captain Picard knows that he needs to let future Picard run his course.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And even Dr. Pulaski, you seem to have the Donald Trump sniffling issue from the
I know.
debates.
I'm just on the verge of just unleashing this bit of sneezing, and I'm trying
Just
to
do
hold.
it. Do it. Just sneeze, doctor. Sneeze.
No,
sneeze.
no, no. Actually, I'm continue. I'm going to stick something up my nose. And go ahead.
Okay, so, well, I need you to. I'll wait for the doctor to come back, because if he doesn't hear what I'm going to say, it'll be like, the doctor is having problems. Oh, in the meantime, let's pull up an image here. Times squared. See here. Oh, that's not gonna work. Anyways, let's see, where were we? Are you feeling better, doctor?
I hope so.
You can sniffle all you want. I was just giving you a hard time there. So anyways, I'm gonna show something to you here. Are you back? There you are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, I love that shot, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good shot. Anyways, so the thing about, so what happens is he engages, the future Picard is now able to have a dialogue with present Picard, and he's still not fully present, if you will. He's still in like kind of a state, like some kind of phase, out of phaseness, and he doesn't even really recognize that he's talking to himself. The future Picard doesn't recognize it, and he's kind of, we realize he's stuck in this kind of loop. And anyways, I thought it was interesting that, like, Picard, Dr. Pulaski is kind of like nervous about this, and she asked him, like, do you even know what you're doing? And he says, no. Release it.
Right.
And I wonder if what was going through present Picard's mind at this time. Like, was he just like, I'm just gonna follow this and see what happens? I have nothing to lose. The Enterprise is gonna get destroyed anyways. And it leads him to the shuttle bay, and he's trying to talk reason with Picard. And I think it's a valid question. He's like, well, what was your other choice?
Yeah.
There had to have been another choice. Like, we have choices all the time, and it's and future Picard won't reveal it. He's like, no, there's no other choice. So then that's when he decides, okay, well, the other choice is to not go, to not leave the Enterprise. He kills himself. Yeah. That's interesting. Like,
well, because he's going to leave the ship.
Or do you think it's more like there can be only one? I mean, like, would you kill
him? No, he stopped him because he wanted to. Because if he had left in the shuttlecraft, and then the same thing would have been happening as what happened before.
But don't you think he could have just stunned himself, or at least tried it? No, he murders his future self. He's like, no, there's no room, because he's thinking
there's no room for error. There's no room for error. You've got to kill this Picard, because he knows himself, and he knows that that he would do anything and everything to commit whatever act he feels is right. But the other present day Picard realizes that act is wrong. So the only way to stop Picard is to kill him himself.
Wow. It's crazy. Yeah. It's some crazy effed up.
That's how I loved it. That's how determined Picard is. Picard knows himself. He knows that the only way to stop him is to kill himself. Yeah.
Well, he successfully does so. and he then orders the Enterprise into the vortex and goes to the bridge, and future Picard and the future Elbaz disappear. They're gone, and everything's good, except we still don't know what the entity was.
Nagilum.
It's just Nagilum playing more.
I think it's Nagilum. What? I think so.
What if with this whole time they've been trapped inside Nagilum?
Wow. What do you think about that vortex, by the way?
I was a little bit. I don't remember the original effects at all. I can tell you what my theory on the vortex is in a second, but since you asked that, the first thing that came to mind was the special effects, the remastering, and I believe this is a screenshot from the remastered version. This particular special effects house, I think, is trying too hard to recreate the exact shots. I think that it would have been a great thing, since you have this computer rendered Enterprise. You could do whole new shots, and
but you have to fit them in the timing of the episode.
That's true, but you could still have a different angle. I think there were better angles they could have done. I don't know. I didn't really like. I liked some scenes, like when the Enterprise is trying to warp and it's kind of stuck in over the vortex, and it, like, you kind of see it try to warp away, but nothing happens. It just, the engines kind of just do that little explosion thing that they do, and not the engines, the nacelles. So I thought that was cool, but mostly I thought, like, the Enterprise looked nice. It just didn't look as dynamic as it should now that it's computer generated,
Well, the remastering for season 2, I don't think is
right. It's that other effects house. You told me about that, right?
Right.
But so I'm looking forward to seeing the season 3, and maybe by season 4, this effects house will get it right. I'm not sure, but yeah, I wasn't like too pleased. There are some interesting. Oh, I gotta put this up for you here. I'm finding images on the the internet. I forgot that you can do this. Here we go. There's the brilliant weirdness that Patrick Stewart is able to convey. Oh, look, you know what? The sun is coming in, but this time it's reflected from a different place. So see, there's like all this weird, different lighting. Yeah. So outside of that, what I think that, having watched enough of Doctor Who to have these like temporal ideas about temporal mechanics, I think that the original event, whatever it was, put the Enterprise crew, and this happens a few times, it's not the first time it'll happen, but it puts the Enterprise crew into a time loop. And so they're forced to repeat it, and we don't know how many times they've been repeating the same thing until they finally make a different decision, which they successfully do. Right. So I think that the entity on the other side, that would have been a neat thing to come back to and explore. It would have been neat if in a future season, we encounter the entity, or we, encounter something that just kind of hints at this episode. That would have been a really neat thing, but unfortunately, we never do get that. And that's my only critique, but it's not a critique of this episode itself.
I've noticed that this season there's quite a number of unsolved mysteries, and I'm kind of okay with that. I think an episode like this, if it had happened later in the season, would have been a little too. It would have been too gobbledygooked up. They would have tried to find some reason for why things are happening. I would have been drowned in technobabble, and we would have lost the weirdness and the just the unsettled nature of, first of all, Patrick Stewart's performance, and then just the reaction that all the characters in the bridge were having to what was going on. I mean, when they were second guessing each other on the bridge, I thought that was a very good moment. You know, it's like, well, we should do this. Well, wait a minute, hold on. What if we're supposed to? I mean, you'll drive yourself nuts with that kind of, you know, time travel logic. I mean, and I really thought it was an excellent episode.
It was definitely, yeah, you know, this is what you kind of hope for from a science fiction series. You're absolutely right. It's also showing how, you know, I guess there's a lot more time travel stuff happening in Star Trek: The Next Generation than I had previously thought. And what's going on?
Incoming news. Once again, and this is what's great about this, is that, you know, I saved the book for near the end, so we've done all the speculating, but now we hear
what actually happened.
Right. Take these off. This story, originally titled Time to the Second, began as the first of what Maurice Hurley had planned as 2 consecutive but standalone episodes. Time Squared would segue into Q Who. We never thought about Q. I was like, Nagilum, it's Q.
Yeah, it is Q. Well, Nagilum is very Q-like. You were close to the mark.
Would segue into Q Who, in which the mischievous super alien is revealed as the cause of the vortex. That plan was scrapped at Gene Roddenberry's insistence. Hurley has said, and so adds confusion to the ending, why would going into the vortex center save you? Hurley asked. It doesn't make sense, but it does if Q is pulling the strings. Still, the writer said his intent was to do a time travel story involving just 6 hours, not 500 or 1,000 years.
Right.
Let's see, what else? The shuttlecraft is named for one-time NASA scientist Farouk El-Baz, who had earlier received a tip of the hat in the outrageous Okuna. According to Michael Okuda, the professor sounded very surprised the morning he called in from Boston University after he and his children had seen the show for the first time.
That's very cool. So, yeah. Very interesting. I don't remember Q Who. It's going to be fun when we get to that episode.
Yeah.
Is that the one where he loses his powers?
I don't remember.
Oh, well, exciting, because it's coming up soon.
But, you know, having read that, you know, the Q episodes, by and large, don't have, you know, they have a bit of levity to them, you know. There's a few exceptions, Tapestry being one of them. But this episode just seems a little too, I don't know, it's unsettling, like the way he's trapped, you know, he can't speak, and the crew is like, oh my gosh, we're all gonna die.
I think that's why. Yeah, I think that's why it's okay that we don't have that Q connection. I think that the episode does stand on its own feet, and now the mystery's solved. That was the only thing, and it's like what you said. I do agree that it's okay to have a mystery that we don't get the answer to on a television show. It's you know, even as much as we want to know what's going on, it is okay to have, just like in real life, you sometimes don't solve things and there's a lot of unknowns, and you know, I think that's okay to have on a TV show, and this is a situation where it was done really well, and yeah, I really enjoyed this episode as well. But now we know it was there was a two-parter apparently.
Right. That's interesting. Huh.
Well, are you ready to give your rating there, Doctor? Any other thoughts on this episode?
Um, I wanna mention that it's interesting that one of the things that never got brought up is why they never thought of detaching the saucer section. You know,
Hmm.
if there was this cause for believing that the starship was going to be destroyed, and I believe they have footage of the complete starship being destroyed. I don't know why Picard didn't immediately uh, order that the saucer section be separated, and that I mean, it could have just stayed right where it was, and you know, they could have sent for another starship or something, and they could have just continued onwards in the what do you call that? What do you call the secondary hull
Oh,
section?
the star drive. Well,
The
there's
star
the
drive section.
section, yeah. I think that if I recall correctly in the episode, the vortex just kind of appears all of a sudden. So there
Yeah, but
wasn't
they had
really.
some time before the vortex appeared.
But then what if the vortex had appeared since it was centered around Picard, no matter where he was. So let's say you did
But they
separate
didn't
the.
know that
Well, right. But
until they knew it.
what I'm saying is, had they, let's just, play out the scenario. Let's say they immediately, he's like, orders start, saucer separation. Let's say he remains
The star drive,
on the or the battle, yeah, the
the
star
battle
drive,
bridge.
yeah, the star drive section, I guess it's called. Um, uh, you know, the vortex would have appeared under there, and yes, you're right. The saucer section would have been separated, and that would have created a slightly different um timeline. But then, timey wimey wibbly wobbly. If they had repeated the events and he actually left again in a shuttlecraft, it would have the same scenario would have occurred, and then the next time the loop happens, they would have seen that the saucer was separated in the video,
Yes.
in the playback. So
Yes.
ultimately, they would have been forced to relive the loop again, and then they would have
Yeah,
decided
but it
not.
would have. But you
But
would
they
have
would have
saved the
decided.
kids.
Well, they would have also decided not to separate the saucer section. They might have chosen differently on the second loop. We don't know how many loops have occurred before this one. The one that we saw on TV is one of maybe it's the second loop, maybe it's the 15th loop, maybe it's the 30th loop. We have no way of knowing, but we do know that they are caught in a time loop. Every time Picard leaves the Enterprise, whether it's a separated Enterprise or a complete Enterprise, he ends up surviving and the Enterprise is destroyed. And what had to change was Picard not leaving. It was definitely focused on him, and we know this because he is the 6 hour into the future Picard comes back. By the way, that does remind me of something. In that scene when they bring the shuttlecraft aboard, I think future people are really amazing because they see like scarring on the Elbaz, and without any tricorder or anything, Captain Picard's like, "Oh, that looks like an antimatter explosion." And the shuttlecraft must not have been too close to it. And I was just astonished that it looked to me as an audience member, it just looked like burns or like burns. How do you know what an antimatter explosion burn looks like
Well,
as opposed to just like a phaser blast or something else. So that was like a that was what it's
that's
like.
why they're at the top of the line, man.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like
Yeah.
Riker docking the saucer section with only visuals. Like he's able to do it manually just by looking at the view screen. So these people in the future are just extraordinary in their
Yes, they are
abilities.
indeed. Indeed, that is true. Yeah, if it had been Geordi who would have said that, but no, it was Picard.
Right, Geordie's visor would give him a special insight into the nature of the
Yeah,
boss.
you're right.
I agree with you. That would have been more.
That would have been more believable, but no,
Yeah,
it's
no.
like
He's just, oh, he's like, what do you think? And Riker didn't know. He's like, what do you think this is, Captain? And he's like, looks like a antimatter scar. Yeah, like, I don't know. It's so weird.
Picard's great, man. That's true. That is true.
So I will give this episode a 7.5. I really liked it.
I will give it a 7.5. I
Oh,
agree with you.
excellent. Excellent. Dun, da, 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 da. So I guess the next episode, I think if I'm not mistaken, the Icarus factor is going to be this new camera handles the overexposure a lot better than the previous camera did. I would have been just like washed away with gamma radiation.
Question: did you ever watch this episode in its original run? I did not. This is the first time I'd seen this episode.
Oh yeah, no, I saw this in its original run.
I did not.
I remembered it too.
No, I did not remember. I did not remember. I didn't see this episode. I think originally I was so put off by Royale that I just didn't watch Next Generation.
You needed 2 weeks.
I was like, God, this show sucks.
I
just stopped.
I was protesting the Pulaski era, but for some reason I do remember seeing this. Maybe it's because the teaser enticed me to watch it. So I didn't see the Royale, I don't think, on its original.
I saw the Royale. And
I don't know.
Terrible
I don't
the
remember
first
it. I don't remember it, so I must not have seen it on its original run. So yeah,
I saw it, and I don't know what the Icarus factor. What's the Icarus factor? What is it?
Again, I think it's the episode where just briefly, it's Riker's father comes aboard the station. And
I remember that episode.
Yeah, I didn't.
It has that actor that I like.
Yeah, he's really good. I didn't see it in its original run, but
really,
because I remember being really, when I saw it on DVD, I remember, this is new. This is something new. When TNG had its first DVD release, I did see it then, and I do remember watching it again very recently, like maybe a few months ago, and remembering that there's something between Pulaski and Riker's father. So we'll explore all that on the next episode.
But why wasn't that mentioned at the breakfast?
I don't know.
Is she hiding?
Well, they were interrupted. First of all, the eggs were disgusting, and so that distracted them from it. And I think that it comes up in the next episode. I do believe that either Riker's like, "Why didn't you tell me about this, Dad?" or Dr. Pulaski's like, "It's none of your business," or something like that happened.
And on Friday, this is really unrelated, but on Friday, I was so hungry at work, and for the fans that we have, I work at a high school, and at my old high school, at your old high school, and I never had cafeteria food when we were there as students, and subsequently as an employee, I don't have the cafeteria food. But I was so hungry on Friday that I said, damn it, I'm going to have pizza. They were serving pizza, and I had the pizza, and the expression I had on my face matched the expression of the faces of the people having those eggs in the beginning of this episode. I think those eggs tasted like the pizza that I had at the school that shall remain nameless.
Wow, that's disgusting.
It was disgusting. It really was. Whatever ingredients were in the eggs were in that pizza.
Ew.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to... before we do sign off, just this last week was the 29th anniversary of Encounter at Farpoint.
Really?
So next year will be the 30th anniversary of Star Trek The Next Generation airing on television.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's extraordinary.
30, that means...
Wow. How old are we?
Well, I'm 38, so that means that I started watching Star Trek The Next Generation at age 7, and I didn't realize that I was that young.
What? Doesn't make any sense.
No, that's wrong. Hold on.
That makes no fucking sense. You were age 7? You started watching Next Gen.
Wait, how could it be? That doesn't make sense at all. How could it be the 30th? Oh.
So how? I mean,
Was it 29th or something else? Maybe I'm hold on, let's take a look at
I literally have snot coming down my nose. Hold
that's
on.
disgusting,
That's
doctor.
disgusting.
I'm gonna do the math while you go away here. Hold on here. Oh, it's 27 years ago. So that means oh, I was age 11. Where did you go?
Hold on.
Oh, you're trying not to let us see. By the way, your icon is pretty cool. You look like you're in your Tom
Emma
Raider.
took that picture. It's the best picture anyone's ever taken of me.
So I was 11 when TNG came on in '89, and I guess it's 27 years. Brent Spiner confused me because he posted something about it.
You were oh, I guess that makes sense because then by the time I met you, you would have been
15.
Yeah. Okay.
14 or 15, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because we met in the wake of the Best of Both Worlds season. We didn't meet in the first 2 seasons of Next Generation.
Oh yeah.
We met either the 3rd or the 4th. I want to say the 3rd.
Right, we'll have to do all the math later. But we met somewhere along the line, and Star Trek The Next Generation finished while I was in high school.
Yeah, Next Generation, I guess, finished after I left, right? Well, I remember vividly being in 11th grade, and Star Trek 6 was like the movie to watch, which was weird because I didn't know anybody else like Star Trek other than you and me and you, Sue and Ruben. So it was like, and Roger.
And Roger.
And Roger. Jolly Roger. Admiral.
Well, Guinan, our librarian, watched Star Trek, I think.
Did she? Or did we just...
Mrs. Gibson did watch...
She watched the... She didn't watch Next Generation.
Yeah, because I revealed to her that she was our Guinan and she knew exactly what I was talking about.
You sure she wasn't just, placating you there and...
I mean, there's always the possibility of that, but it seemed pretty legit.
Betty Gibson.
Yeah, she's great. Anyways, now there's all these like personal references that no one gets, and that's bad for TV.
Who cares? This is just a casual and informal conversation. I don't give a shit if nobody understands what we're talking about.
Okay, so on that note,
live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper, everybody. And I'll see you next time, Doctor.
Yeah.